Hey, it's JD here and welcome to my channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to properly prepare the back end of a vintage pocket watch dial to accept a 1.3 millimeter piece of copper wire that becomes the dial foot for this. So I've done a lot of experimentation on how to get this thing properly prepared and tinned to accept that wire. Didn't know about the tinning, found out about the tinning. There's no videos online that show you exactly how to do it. I've got the only comprehensive video that actually shows you how to do it. There's a lot of discussion of people saying, yeah, this is what I've done, or I've glued it on, or I've done this or done that. I'm actually working with the solder, the flux, the soldering iron to put a little bit of heat to tin it, and then clipping, and I'm doing all the prep work. So you'll see exactly how a dial foot is placed on the proper way and it's soldered on to a vintage pocket watch. So please enjoy. Again, I'm JD. You can get a hold of me at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. I got to learn exactly where to point here. Okay, I'm always sort of off, but I look at my screen and I look at my finger and I'm like, it's very unprofessional. So anyway, jdwatchservice@gmail.com. I do watch repair, restoration kind of work, and as well as cleaning. Cleaning, oiling, and adjusting. COA, new term. New term for me, by the way. But I do clean, oil, and adjust the watch to get it within very close to the spec that it was built for, or built with. So enjoy the video. I did not electrocute myself when I did this video. I did the video and then I've done the intro first, so I know the results are great. So please enjoy and give me lots of comments. I actually like responding back. There's some really cool folks out there that they give me tips, tell me not to do stuff, and tell me my guitar playing shitty and stuff like that. So make sure you leave lots of comments. My next adventure, by the way, this summer is to learn Statesboro blues on slide guitar, because I've been playing blues my whole life, but I've never learned how to play slide. But I'm going to attack Statesboro blues and learn how to play proper slide guitar. This should be fun. This is just another thing I like to do. So again, please subscribe to my channel and enjoy this video. It's pretty comprehensive, I think. So have fun, have a good day, stay safe, and wear your mask if you need to. And if you guess in some places in the States, they can now take their masks off, and because they're fully vaccinated. I am vaccinated, so I think you should get vaccinated too, because not getting vaccinated puts everybody else in danger. So anyway, thanks a lot. It's just my opinion, by the way. You can have your own. Bye. Hey, I'm JD and welcome to my channel. So quick watch check. We've got ourselves a very nice Saint Martin homage watch that I got a couple weeks ago. It's a gorgeous watch. This is my watch check. Ceramic bezel. It's got a beautiful sapphire crystal on it, and I adjusted the Cyclops, moved it down just a bit, so when you turn your arm and look at it, you can actually see what's going on. And it's all stainless steel, and the links on there are all screwed in and everything else. So that's the watch check. So today I'm going to show you what technique I've discovered after many failures in actually soldering a dial foot onto the back of a vintage ceramic watch dial. So this watch dial has got ceramic on the back, I believe. There's some of my attempts that actually worked. I had some failed attempts. So the trick here was to actually tin this area. So you could not put a typical copper wire. This is a copper wire here. And you couldn't solder this on as a dial foot without tinning that area there. So I had to figure out, how do I tin that area? So I'm not a soldering expert when it comes to soldering this kind of stuff. I did solder plenty of electronics in my day, but anyway, this is just different. So I got my soldering iron heating up right now, and I'm going to start off this technique by taking some of the world's oldest solder paste I have. This is kind of gouky, but it's solder paste, man. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a boatload of solder paste on this dial, because I found out that the more solder paste you put on, the better this works. So we can never have too much solder paste, somebody once said. So there we go. And that solder paste will help conduct the heat and allow the solder that I apply to melt onto that area. So I'm just hoping and praying this works as nicely as it did when I tried the last one with the solder paste. So let's get on with it. I'm going to check my soldering iron right now and see if we're all good. So there's my soldering iron, and what I want to do is put a little ball of solder on the bottom of this soldering iron. See if I can do that. And it wants to stick to the top of it, but whatever, I'll just rotate my soldering iron around, right? What a brilliant guy. So there I've got a ball of solder on that soldering iron. I'm heating that up nicely, and this is hoping and praying, but I'm going to lay that solder onto the onto that area where the copper is, the bare copper is, and I've got the flux on there. Alright, I'm ready, I'm brave. Let's see if this works. I'm just going to put it down, and I don't want to transfer too much heat here, but let's see if this works. Look at that. So it went on very nicely. It stuck on like you wouldn't believe. There's the solder on there. And so now all I need to do is file that down a bit. So I'm going to just pause for a second, come back and clean that up, and then solder it, and then file it down. Alright, I've got a pretty simple file here. It's like a three-sided file. It's medium. So I just want to take the top off of this so I have a flat area to put the dial foot, and just file that down nicely. Have a look at it every now and then, like so. It doesn't matter whether you touch the ceramic on the back a bit, it's not going to make a difference. So I think that's filed down enough right there, and then clean that up a bit. So now it's ready to accept the dial foot. Well, let's get the dial foot ready. So I went on Amazon and I bought 3.1 millimeter, which is 16 gauge wire, and this is what I needed for a size 16 pocket watch. This is what I was working with before, and so this is a nice spool of wire that'll make 5,000 dial feet for me, probably more than that. So the thing is, with making these dial feet, you have to make sure that you've got that the foot is relatively straight. So what you want to do, I'm just going to see if I can clumsy my way over and grab this thing and pull it out a bit. And come on, there we go. It's out. It's out. Not too bad now. So I get myself a chunk of this stuff and then cut it off. Cut it off. I'm losing all my strength. My kung fu is weak. So there, I've got a piece there. So it's right now it's round, and so I want to put that into a vise, and then straighten that up. I can straighten it up by hand. Just a bit, and then put it into a vise, and then just squeeze it, turn it and squeeze it, and turn it and squeeze it, and put it into the vise. But and that'll flatten it out a bit. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back with hopefully a flat wire. There, I did that a few times, and now it looks fairly flat, which is nice. I just did it, rotated it, and did it again, so it's flat enough. And as you get closer to the tip of the dial foot, then then it doesn't really matter anymore. So then the next step is to file the end here so that the end is flat, and all you just keep filing it like that till you get a flat end on it. So again, boring to watch, so I'm just going to clip off and go file it. So I filed that down now, so it's filed flat on the tip here, and I just need to grab it with my alligator clip, and I want a little bit of distance here between myself and the face, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to rotate that over. Now I need to get a piece of leather under here. It's mock leather, and I'll just redo the camera angle here. Alright, so now I've got this prepared tinned piece, or tinned area here. I almost did it with the other piece I had filed down. I said, wait a second, that's not tinned. The heck you doing? What the heck are you doing? So this is like self-education here. I'm just learning, and man, when you put that flux down on there and put that flux on that piece of exposed copper that this dial is right, that flux holds or spreads that friggin', can I say friggin' on YouTube? I think so. That friggin' solder like crazy. So now all I need to do here is put a little bit of paste on the end here. So I'll just put just a dab here on here. Probably don't need that much, but so I want to just paste the end of this here. So bear with me as I do some pasting. You don't have to put a lot on here, but what you have to do is make sure it melts. If it doesn't melt, it ain't gonna work. So ain't is a word, A-I-N-T, as opposed to aren't, A-R-N-T, as opposed to maybe, M-A-B-Y. That's how I spelt maybe when I was a kid. I still spell that way. But Bill Gates saved my life. Every time I spell something wrong, Bill says, try this. So I don't spell it wrong again. I'm just going to lower that down here into this area. And there, it's down now. Flat as I'm going to get it. And I'm just going to take this piece of pegwood and spread the solder paste in here. And I want this solder paste to adhere to the solder that's on the plate. So that's like that. Good to go. So there we go. Now I'm going to solder this thing on. Now I've found with my little my dial soldering machine here it's called watchcare.vn. If you're looking at buying one, the guy's a pretty nice guy. So I found that to get the power through, because this part of this system gets kind of dirty, right? And you want to probably clean it off a bit. Just file some of the exposed carbon that's collecting here because you're touching that rod. Just file it down just a bit so you get a clean connection. I also found if I kind of ride it back and forth just a bit, I get kind of a even better connection. So, but right now I'm just filing it down just a bit, just to clean it up, and wipe it with a cloth, just so you don't get you get the proper contact with the metal. And then turn it on. I didn't have it on, of course. And then I'm going to watch that paste on the bottom to make sure that it's melting. So I turn it on, and then I'm going to put a pegwood on the top just to put some pressure down on this, like that. And I'm going to start touching this and seeing what happens. And you may not be able to see the perfect angle here, but I'm kind of rubbing it back and forth. That's good right there. Because what I want to see is that solder that I put on adhering to the tinning, the solder I did when I was tinning the base. So just hold that for around 10 seconds. Turn off my machine so I don't get electrocuted. And then I'm going to remove it and see if it works. It worked on the other one, so it should work on this one. So it's not a bad process that I've kind of discovered this morning. There's no videos out there, by the way. There's no written things out there to tell you how to tin this. I looked up something on how to tin a wire. This lady was basically making, she was doing stained glass windows and was teaching you how to tin a wire, and I thought, this is interesting. And she did flux the wire, and then she tinned the wire, and I thought, and before when I did it, I didn't put enough flux on. I just sort of put a little bit of flux on, and then the solder would just be a ball, and it wouldn't sort of integrate in with the copper dial. So, and then the dial got super hot when I had the soldering iron down for a longer period of time to heat up the dial. The whole friggin' dial got to 5,000 degrees, and then the subdial melted and fell off. So that was no good. That was like a complete failure. So, but again, this thing has a little cap you put on here. And when I was doing this, you notice I was just sort of, I touched it, but I was moving it ever so slightly so I could get I could get all of the current going through there and get the heat down below. And I'm watching for that solder to be melting properly, right? So it's and then I touch this and it's still a little bit warm. And then let's just remove it and see if it's strong at all. Alright, so removing this here, I'm going to loosen this first, and this allows the dial to move around a bit, because if I don't do that, and for some reason the solder is not strong enough, then this will hold it in place, and while I move the alligator clamp, it's possible that I'll move that piece of copper wire, and the leverage that from point A to point B on the wire would put more force on here than necessary and could cause everything to go to poop in a handbasket. Poop in a handbasket. So there we are. So I'm just going to touch this and see if it's got any strength at all. Oh yeah, that's got tons of strength. I'm just touching this and you can see it moving just a bit on your screen, and that feels like it's pretty strong. Now I'm going to clip it off with my famous off clippers, and I'm going to cut it to the right level, see if it's the right level anyway, and I will perfect the amount of solder to put on. So very lightly hold the top part when you cut it, and there we go. Probably cut it a little low there, and that's cut now. And now what I want to do is file that. Right, so I'm just going to rotate this a bit here, just keep you in camera, and then of course focus the damn camera, mister. I think that's sort of focused. Focus is not just a crappy car, it's also a camera. Yeah, that's kind of focused there, so that's not too bad. Just have to make it in the middle. Put it in the middle. Alright, now I just want to take this dial foot now that I've made and clean it up a bit. So I want to file it down, file it flat. And you just need to file it to the right height so you can have a look at the other dial feet and see where they are. Don't put too much pressure on the file here because you don't want to snap the dial foot off, but you do that and blow on that. I think I got fibers of stuff everywhere in my room here, my watch repair room, lab, whatever you want to call it. So that's it there. So as you can see, the dial foot's pretty good. If you want to clean up some solder on the base that you think it's too high, I don't think it is too high because it looks pretty darn good. It's standing up like that. I'm just going to move back a bit so you can see it. So that's it there. There's probably a little too much solder there, but I can remove that. I can file that off without a problem. So I can just take that solder and then file that down a bit because the solder on the base is what's really holding it. So you can just remove that if you find it too high. So you can put the watch, the face back in the movement and make sure it's nice and level, and you don't have too much height on any of this material that's left over. I just soldered that, or just filed that down on the edge really quickly, and you can file this part too. And then again, if you've got a watch with a knot, and this requires a notch in it for the screw. I did cut this a little bit too low. That was stupid. But if you need to put a notch in it for the screw, then all you do is find out what level that notch needs to be at, and you can file the rod like this at an angle, and then just see if I can notch this one here. And the notch usually goes out for these. So let me see. Oh, there we go. And there's the notch as well. So I've got a little bit of a notch in there that I put in there. See if you can see that or not, but there it is there. Just move this over. There we go. It's not as focused, but I'll just refocus again. I'm always focusing. This is a manual focus camera because I like the manual ones better because the other ones are always refocusing. So there's a notch there. So I notched it, and it's ready to basically be put into the watch, and the screw will hold that in place now. So that's the dial foot, and it's strong as hell in there. It's super strong. So that's good. Anyway, that's the instruction on how to do a dial foot. I know you're gonna see the intro, but I'm gonna go do an intro really fast, and then because I'm pretty proud of what I just did and how I learned it and everything else. So you can learn anything. So the trick is lots of flux, folks. I'll talk to you later.